come true. You have to stick to your vision. You have to stick to your dreams and make them happen, and they will happen. And this isn't the end of the vision today, because I truly believe next year we're going to do something different, and the vision is really for it to be a national event, activating the dream through financial education. So again, I thank you so much for coming tonight, not for me, because really it's about you. If it's just one thing, we're going to go over a lot of information tonight, and it might just be one thing that you pick up that's going to help you, that's going to help you to change. And that's really what it's all about. It's not about me. It's about what we can do to activate the dream through you, to help you change. So we're going to begin with talking about choices. So I want you to look at the screen, and we're going to be talking about choices. Look at the screen. On the screen, we got two choices. And I want you to tell me, which would you choose? Right now, if I give you $10,000 right now, would you take that? Or if I gave you a penny every day for 30 days, which would you choose? $10,000? Okay. Anybody for the penny? Okay, we got, all right, good. We got 3 people for the penny, good. Everybody else for the 10,000 right now, right? Okay, good. Thank you. Would you go ahead and show us what happens with a penny every day for 30 days? Now, I don't know if you can see it, but at the end of 30 days, that penny becomes $5 million. Anybody want to change your mind right now? At the end of 30 days, and the significance in that choice is a lot of us, what we do is we think about right now and we don't think about later. We probably thought 30 days was too long for me to wait for my reward. I'll take the 10,000 right now. And unfortunately, when we think about finances, that's what a lot of us do. We think about today. We don't think about the future. So I want us to think about that. Think about it. We could have lost out on over $5 million because we wanted $10,000 right now. Somebody might say that's not realistic, but it is realistic when you think about it. Some of us haven't started saving for retirement because we're thinking about spending all we have today. Some of us haven't started thinking about college because we're spending all we have today. Some of us haven't started thinking about saving for a down payment for a house because we're thinking about spending all we have today. So we need to think about the choices that we make. Now we're going to look at activating the dream and Martin Luther King. Again, I said I wanted to honor Dr. King today, and today, well, actually Martin Luther King's birthday, January 15th. He was born January 15th, 1929. Now, I don't know if many of you know this, but Martin Luther King was born Michael Luther King Jr., January 15th, 1929, the son of Michael Luther King Sr. Now, in 1934, his family went to Europe, and to honor Martin Luther King Sr. changed his name and his son's name to Martin Luther King Jr. As we know that Martin Luther King was a great civil rights leader, and his civil rights career began in Montgomery, Alabama, where he was the pastor of the Dexter Avenue Baptist Church and the president of the Montgomery Improvements Association. And do you know, in 1955, an historic event took place. December 1st, 1955, Rosa Parks did not give up her seat to a white man, which was the law at that time. But what you might not know, and you may know this, is that in the spring of 1955, a 15-year-old named Claudette Colvin did the same thing. She refused to give up her seat, even though it was the law, a 15-year-old. But they decided at the time they would look for a case that might be a little more appropriate to take action in this situation. And I bring that up just to let you know. I mean, Rosa Parks was an older woman, but younger people definitely had a big role in the civil rights movement. And that bus boycott lasted anywhere from about 382, 391 days. And there's something else that I find very significant about that boycott. Because as we look today, we might complain a lot and say a lot of things about our people, such as we can't do anything. We won't do anything together. We're not unified. Well, it's been a while, but in 1955, over 20,000 people, they decided they were going to walk. They were going to share cars to turn the system upside down because of inequality. So when people tell you we won't do anything together, that's not true. It might have been a while, and we might be misinformed, but when we do things together, as we did November 4th, things can happen. Things can change. So we can do some things. In 1964, Martin Luther King, after his work in Birmingham, was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, the youngest man at the time to win the Nobel Peace Prize. And as we know, on the March on Washington, August 28, 1963, one of the greatest speeches ever given, the I Have a Dream speech, where Martin Luther King talks about freedom. He talks about being free at last. And Martin Luther King was talking about freedom from discrimination, freedom from oppression. But tonight, we're going to talk about freedom from financial bondage, freedom from financial oppression. So let's talk about activating the dream through financial education. Tonight I'm going to talk about choices and change. Choices and change. And I want you to know that the choices you make determine your future. Some of the consequences are good, and some of the consequences not so good, depending on the choices that you made. Tonight I want you to ask yourself two questions. First question, what is my willingness to learn? Because it's so important to understand what is your willingness to learn. How open is my mind? Because a lot of times we get new information and we go, I know that. But I'm asking you to open up your mind. Open up your mind. Some of these things you may have heard, and some you may not have. But open up your mind tonight. The second question is, what is my willingness to change? And I say that because a lot of times we get a lot of good information. We're at a conference, we're at a service, we're at a seminar, and the information is very good. We want to buy the DVD, we want to buy the CD, and listen to it again and again and again. However, if we don't have a willingness to change, then nothing changes. We might have a willingness to learn. That might be very high. But our willingness to change, we have to want to do something. I'm telling you tonight, in order to change any information into action, what I'm talking about tonight, any information, your willingness to learn and your willingness to change must be very high. That's something you need to think about. Change, there's a quote that says, change is hard because people overestimate the value of what they have and underestimate the value of what they may gain by giving that up. And I talk about a $4 or $5 cup of coffee. Change is hard because people estimate the value of buying a $4 or $5 cup of coffee every day, and they underestimate the value of taking that money and saving it and earning maybe $900 or $1,000 at the end of the year. They overestimate, I have to have that $4 or $5 cup of coffee. Don't tell me I can't have it. And they underestimate, what if I save this? At the end of the year, I'd have $900 or $1,000. Change is hard because people overestimate what they have and underestimate what they may gain by giving that up. And let's talk about money. That's what we're talking about tonight. When we talk about money, God is the owner, we are the stewards. God owns what we have. He gives us what we have. It is up to us to manage what he gives to us. He gives us the ideas to create wealth. He gives us the expertise to manage it, but it's up to us to manage what he gives us. God's the owner, we're the stewards. We are responsible for what God gives us. We're responsible for that. Why do we have money? Dr. Miles Monroe said something about the power of purpose, and it's so important. He said, if you don't know the purpose of something, then inevitably you will abuse it. If you don't know the purpose of something, inevitably you'll abuse it. And that goes for more than just money. But think about money. If you don't know the purpose of money, you'll abuse it. You'll think it's just to get as many clothes as you can, or to buy the nicest car that you can get, or flash it around, or spend it, or gamble it away, or give it to somebody else that you shouldn't be giving it to. If you don't know the purpose of money, you'll abuse it. But tonight we're talking about why do we have money? And I have scripture references for it. One of the reasons we have money is to provide for God's work.